Welcome back to the channel. We're doing a discussion today. We're doing a Yu-Gi-Oh discussion, which is gonna be a first, I believe. So that should be very, very exciting. We have Batman 2s as Red Ice as a guest, and we just did a Star Wars Unlimited discussion. Similar predicament as Yu-Gi-Oh, unfortunately. It's kind of crazy to say Star Wars Unlimited, similar to Yu-Gi-Oh. Yikes, we've really fallen far. And then we have One Piece, which is like in the exact opposite situation to the point where it's being scalped to hell, right? So if you're interested in any of those, if you're interested in figuring out what the hell is going on with either of those two, definitely stay tuned and subscribe to the channel. But anyways, today it's all about Yu-Gi-Oh. What the hell is going on? Why are stores so afraid of it? It's like Yu-Gi-Oh has the plague right now. Vendors don't want to touch it. It's like if you ask a vendor like, hey, do you take any Yu-Gi-Oh? It's like if you ask them, hey, do you take plutonium? It's
Are you trying not to laugh, bro? That's disrespectful.
They're scared. They're like, whoa. Stay away from me. Don't give me that shit. They don't want to touch it. It's a toxic acid. It's bad, right? Yu-Gi-Oh has a pretty bad rep right now with collectors, vendors, store owners. Anyone who wanted to collect Yu-Gi-Oh essentially has gotten pretty burned, right? But why is that? Why is collecting Yu-Gi-Oh so dead currently, at least modern Yu-Gi-Oh? And why do booster boxes kind of suck in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? We're gonna cover that. And what is happening with the market? What is Konami doing in response? Is it enough? Etc. etc. Competition. We're gonna cover some reprint stuff. Should be fun. But let's start from the beginning. Let's cover our bases here. Let's just make sure we're all on the same page, because I have seen probably some of the most insane takes online regarding the state of Yu-Gi-Oh right now. I have seen some people genuinely try to spin it as, hey, things are great, things are okay. Actually, I've seen some people try to spin it as a good thing. The prices are under half MSRP. I think we just need to step back and just think logically. It's not even like it's a greedy store owners, it's dirty poke bros trying to get it. My guy, I just want you to step back and think critically. If I sell your product and I tell you, okay, sell it for 80, I believe the MSRP for a Yu-Gi-Oh box is 80. Unless it's like a special set, then it's different. But for main sets, I believe it's 80. So let's just go for 80. Stores are paying $60. I tell you, okay, you pay me 60, you sell it for 80, you make a little bit of money, and with the money, you get to buy my next set. Okay, cool plan, right? And what happens when that set that I sell you for 60 crashes to $40 on release? You lost 50% of your entire, however many boxes you got, multiply that each by minus 20, right? It's a pretty big loss. And you might say, okay, well, you can't expect every set to be a banger. That's unreasonable. I actually agree. I think that is very unreasonable, and I completely understand that. What happens when you have an entire year worth of flops? Is that a reasonable expectation? Can we finally reasonably expect a good set? No. Oh, we get Rarity Collection 5. Thanks, Konami. I mean, seriously, what the hell is Konami doing? They must have their heads so far up those pachinko machines. And now at this point, Silent Hill is what was making them so much money. They must have forgotten about Yu-Gi-Oh for this entire year. As I said, what the fuck? Have a card game? And finally, someone told them, dude, nobody's buying our shit. And finally, they had to do something. But why is that the case? Why does nobody want to collect modern Yu-Gi-Oh specifically? I do want to add that caveat, right? It is only modern Yu-Gi-Oh. If you're talking about vintage Yu-Gi-Oh, anything 5Ds, pre-5Ds, people love that crap, right? People love those old shows. People love 5Ds. They love Yusei. They love Akisa. They love Akisa. Crow, Jack. They love, some people like GX. They like Jaden, they like Hero. A lot of people like Heroes, at least. They like Sane, they like the original, and obviously they like Yugi, they like Tristan, what the? They like Joey. I confused the two for a second there. They like Kaiba, obviously. They like all their ace monsters, right? These are very popular things which are holding up in value, ironically enough, right? This is the only thing that people seem to kind of care about in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Konami has completely abandoned that. They've given up on their anime. I don't think they're doing any other anime so far, so they've given up on that side. They're not going to be cultivating any new fans that way, and nobody wants to collect modern Yu-Gi-Oh because it's just not worth it. Why is that the case? Collecting modern Yu-Gi-Oh is a fool's errand. It's as simple as that. Let's look at a box of Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Let's look at what you can pull in a core Yu-Gi-Oh booster box, or even one of those what's it called, the special sets that don't have seekers, that they just have ultras like Mace of Memories and all those, right? Let's look at either of those sets. what are the cards that you can pull that make it worth it? Okay. Supers, no, you get one every single pack. Not really worth anything usually. Okay. Bulk. Ultra rares, there may be like one or two good ones. For the most part, though, they're gonna be bulk as well. You get 4 per box, I think, out of like 12. Again, maybe you'll get lucky and one of them might be worth like $5 or something. And then let's look at seekers. These are meant to be your regular, your chases, right? These are meant to be your big, the reason why you're even buying a box in the first place. Because obviously you're not buying a box just for a starlight, right? You're not buying, oh, I have a 1 in 12 boxes chance of buying it, I'm gonna buy an entire box. You're usually not buying it for that, right? You're usually gonna buy it for the secret rares. And what happens to these secrets? Well, if they're any good, if I mean any good, to the point where if they're anything above like $5-10, they're gonna get reprinted at the end of the year. Sorry, your cards are gonna hold no value. So essentially, there is zero reason to open any booster box for Yu-Gi-Oh, because your cards are not gonna be worth a damn. Your seekers, those big chases, if you pull $100 card, congrats. By the time rarity collection 7, 8, 10 comes around, it's gonna be worth a penny. I mean, seriously, this is absolutely insane. They'll reprint it in 7 different ways. Diabellstar, I think, was reprinted twice in like a single year. The Diabellstar main monster, I forget the name of it. It's just absolutely bizarre how much they kill their own collectability. And you might say, well, what does that matter, right? They sell the set when they need to. Okay, fine. What happens when that set, when they reprint those cards? What happens to those older boxes? Do you have any reason to go back to them? No. So what happens is kind of like with Blazing Vortex here, and this is gonna be the case for most modern Yu-Gi-Oh boxes, right? Let's look at Blazing Vortex. Why the hell would you? Let's look at Dueling Nexus, for example, another example. Why the hell would you go back to these sets? Why? There's zero reason. They reprinted anything decent out of them. So it leaves stores that don't immediately sell it at a loss, mind you. Again, these sets are coming out at like $60 out of the gate. This is insane. And they just are gonna keep going down because you keep reprinting any reason to even open the set. Kind of a losing proposition, right? It's kind of insane if you think about it. For example, I have a perfect example. I opened Duelist Nexus on release. I pulled the Crimson Dragon, right? I think it was going for like $20 at the time. It ended up creeping up, I think, to like $40. It wasn't even like a meta card or anything, and they reprinted it. It's like, what? Like, what the fuck? They reprinted the Chimera. Anything good out of Duelist Nexus, they reprinted. So now there's essentially zero reason to go back to a box like that and say, why the fuck would I open this box? Essentially making stores get stuck with that inventory even more. Essentially, you have to sell like this. And if you have to sell at a loss, well, that's too bad, because if not, then you're going to get stuck with it even more. It's just an absolute fool's errand to open any Yu-Gi-Oh right now. The Seekers hold no value. The Ultras hold no value. Anything good holds no value. And since, again, there's no collectability in the modern, people don't care about the new modern stuff. The sets are entirely dependent on meta. There is zero reason to open them for collector purposes. So they're entirely going to be dependent on how the meta is doing. If cards don't get banned, it's just a shit show, right? And you might say, well, no, we have Starlights, we have collector rares. Well, we used to have them. They used to maintain their value for the most part, until Konami pulled the Konami and they said, whoa, those are holding nice value. What if we reprinted them cheaper and a bunch of them? And that's what happens with the rarity collections. They re-released a bunch of Starlights as quarter century rares, essentially killing the last trust for any modern collector. Because realistically speaking, why would you trust them at this point? They reprinted the highest. This wasn't even affecting players. You might disagree with me on the reprints of reprinting every single good card. That's fine. You can disagree with me if you want. My guy, why would you reprint Starlights? What the fuck? That is like one of the most brain dead decisions I've ever seen out of a TCG that just says fuck you to collectors. It is absolutely bizarre to me. And here's the thing, right? You might disagree with me. Oh, they need to reprint because it's a player's game and we need 3 copies of Mulcharmy, for example, right? Like if they never reprinted Mulcharmy, it would go crazy. I absolutely agree with that. I actually agree with that. I'm not unreasonable here. Here's what you have to understand, right? It's fine if they reprint tech cards, if they reprint this insane cards that you absolutely need. But when you're reprinting every single good card, I mean, seriously, what the hell are you doing? You're just killing any reason to go back to those older boxes, and you're not just again reprinting those unique cards like the Crimson Dragon, for example, or any other unique card from any other set, like the Horus, for example, right? Like in Age of Overlord, that's another example. You're just killing any reason to go back to these sets and to even bother trying to open them. And it sucks, right? There's just essentially, like I said, zero collectability because of reprints, because of it being entirely dependent on the meta, because it just makes no sense. And these hit rates also suck. So really, there's just zero reason to even want to open these booster boxes, to even want to collect modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And speaking of reprints, again, number two, reprint galore, right? Again, we're talking about, I combined point one and two. Reprints was meant to be a separate point, but really they're so intertwined that we might as well just make them point one and two, whatever. Point one and two is the reprints and the lack of collectability. It's just an insane situation. I am very curious to see though what you guys think about it, because I know that this is probably a very controversial sentiment, especially again, this is a very player first game, right? This is a literally defined by its player base, but I definitely think we can find a middle ground here where it's not so skewed, where you reprint every single card and it's like, bro, why the fuck would I open your booster boxes? I mean, seriously. Like if you're opening them, you have to either be a hardcore player because you have to play them right away, or you're gonna lose your value and you just have to be a vendor. So really the only people opening them, if you think about it, are gonna be vendors at this point, because collectors don't want it. They're gonna depreciate in value like in a year. I'm not even talking like a couple of years, I'm talking like in a year. And I mean, who else wants it? Players don't want it. They usually don't open product, since you usually need a specific set of cards and you're better off buying singles. So really, the only people left even opening this, I'm guessing, is what? Vendors? Who even is opening you? If you're opening Yu-Gi-Oh, I am dying to know, why are you opening Yu-Gi-Oh? I'm so curious. And here's the thing. You might say, oh, well, yeah, whatever. Boxes are still selling, LOL. Not really, because we have to consider point number two, since again, we combine point number one and two. Changes that Konami just announced. In my opinion, these changes are coming absolutely because finally someone pulled Konami out of the pachinko machines. Someone finally told Konami, you need to chill. We need help. We need to do something. You need to pull your head out of the Silent Hills. You need to pull your head out of this pachinko. I know you're making way too much money and you don't give a fuck about Yu-Gi-Oh, but please, sir, we need your help. We need to do something, or stores are ordering nothing. For example, stores in my area, they were ordering at most 2 cases. Do you realize how little that is? That is 24 boxes for an entire community. Dude, that is insane. And this is one of the big 3 we're talking about. And I've seen stores order even 1 case. I mean, this is just absolutely insane to me. How the hell has no one at Konami just... Is Konami being sabotaged? Like, I genuinely would not be surprised if Konami is being sabotaged by like Pokemon infiltrated early on with an employee or something, and now they rose to the top and they're killing Konami from the inside. I don't know who at Konami is making these decisions, but finally, someone told Konami, you need to do something, and they finally did. They finally looked at the numbers and said, holy shit, we're falling behind. We're getting cooked. We're almost at the levels of Star Wars Unlimited, for God's sakes. This is dire. So they finally are doing some changes. What are these changes? Well, these changes are going to come in the embracing of the collector market. What do I mean by what they're going to do is lean more so in the way of Pokemon. What does that mean? Well, they're going to release the same stuff they've done. Pretty sure they're not doing changes to like Seekers or anything, but those expensive cards are going to have these flashy finishes, which are going to be overframed. So for example, do I have a Yu-Gi-Oh card on me? Oh, come on. Really? I don't have any props. Well, whatever. Let's pretend that this... Here. Oh, this is perfect. I actually have 2. So let's pretend that this Mew right here would be like extending, right? Like, for example, if this Mew was attacking like this, pretend its arm would be like reaching the frame, like sticking out. Different effects, right? More so, kind of like imagine a combination of these two, right? Like a combination of like the full art and a frame, so it will break the frame. It's an overframe. I'll put a picture of it in the screen as well, just so you know what I'm talking about. And this is what they're gonna be trying to sell us as for the collectors, right? Again, players I don't think are really gonna care too much about this, but for the collectors, this is what they're trying to sell, these overframe cards, which we're gonna see how the market reacts. But the more interesting thing, which I'm personally interested in, is serialized cards. They're finally seemingly going to introduce these. I don't know if they're going to do this every single set. I don't know if this is going to be like a special thing. I don't know if this is just a one-time thing because they're getting absolutely blasted and they need something. And all their recent sets have been absolute ass. I don't know if how often they're going to do this. If they're going to do this every single set, that's definitely going to be very interesting. But point being is they're gonna start doing serialized cards. Definitely very interested to see because these essentially you can't reprint. Knowing Konami at this point, knowing Konami, I don't even know, bro. I wouldn't even be surprised. Rarity Collection 10, they reprint with like a different color or something. The serialized cards with like a different some ridiculous bullshit. I wouldn't even be surprised. But point being, serialized cards usually are very protected by default from reprints, right? So this is definitely gonna add a new tier of collectability to Yu-Gi-Oh. They're finally doing something to embrace collectors, right? They're finally not saying fuck you. We're gonna devalue your cards every single year. Kind of interesting to see how people are gonna react after so many years of essentially being spat at as a collector, being essentially told no, this game isn't for you, really. I mean, every single year, literally, your cards are getting reprinted. It's and especially again with the Starlight just being the Starlight reprint just being the final blow to the face, right? Just it literally was just like a double to any collector who was even remotely interested in Yu-Gi-Oh. And it's interesting. It's interesting they're finally gonna try to regain their trust. It's interesting to see if they're going to be reciprocated, right? If collectors are gonna want to come back, if they're gonna say, you know what, all's forgiven, Konami. I want my Dark Magician Girl serialized card. It's gonna be interesting. I'm very curious to see what do you guys think. If you're a Yu-Gi-Oh collector, are you interested in these cards or is it a little too late? Let me know what you think about it. If you're a player, even if you're watching this and you're a player, hey, kudos to you. Honestly, this video is like almost non-relevant to you and you're watching, so I appreciate it. But I am kind of curious. Do you think that these will help the game, attract maybe new people? Obviously, the idea is that we want to bring new eyes to Yu-Gi-Oh, right? That is something that I guess number 4, point number, or like 3 again, sorry. I meant to do 1 and 2, but I combined them. But point number 3 is emerging competition and the difficulty that Konami has bringing in new audience. So why does Yu-Gi-Oh struggle so much bringing in a new audience? Because there's like 7 summon mechanics and it's too complicated. It's the cards are too long, the turns are too long. There's too much interruption. You can't do shit. You search a card, you get interrupted. Your interrupter gets interrupted. It's just a shit show, right? It becomes too complicated. You have to learn a lot of mechanics, and it's just a lot to front load someone. To sit someone down and tell them, hey, here's how you fusion summon. Cool. Oh, that's pretty easy. Oh, and by the way, you can also do this synchro summon. Oh, okay. And XC summon and pendulum summon. Oh, yeah, pendulum are like they're a whole new own thing. And then you have link summon, and it's just so much crap. It's very hard to onboard someone, right? And now you're also adding in the fact that you have no anime, essentially no new bringing in any new people via that way, via casuals, and your game has 0 collectability. So I think that's why they're trying to address this, at least this last problem, where it's they're trying to make it more appealing to the casual, right? To like, oh my god, look at this insanely shiny card, look at this cool Dark Magician, right? They're gonna try to appeal to that. Seemingly nostalgia so far. Right now, it seems they're gonna be doing these for the nostalgia monsters. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, for me, I don't know how players feel about that. I don't know if they feel shafted. They wanted their cards to be like this. They could get that treatment, but it'll be interesting to see going forward what they're gonna do. If they're gonna rely on nostalgia or if they're gonna rely on the meta, right? If they're gonna try to embrace more of that nostalgia market. Kind of interesting, but they can't really afford, and that's another thing, right? Here's what we have to realize as well. We're in a new era of TCGs. We're no longer in the era of the big 3, where it's just the big 3. You don't have a choice. You don't like Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, go play Pokemon. It's too simple for you. Well, go play Magic. You don't like it. You don't like having to shell out how much money. Well, that's too bad. You're gonna have to stick with Yu-Gi-Oh. It's no longer, well, I think Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh are kind of the same. Well, I guess, yeah, if you already shelled out so much money on Yu-Gi-Oh, you don't want to shell out as much on Magic. So I guess that makes sense. But point being is now you have more choices, and now you have even affordable choices like One Piece. One Piece is surprisingly kind of affordable because they follow a similar market to Pokemon, where it's more to do with the collectability. Some things do get out of hand, like some Seekers do get out of hand, I will admit, but for the most part, decks are relatively affordable compared to, at least again, Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic, right? So people have a lot of new options. So in my opinion, that is why Konami finally decided to do something. They realized that it's not like before, right, where they could just skim by. Nowadays they really have some serious competition. One Piece, Riftbound, all these other games propping up, right? I mean, One Piece is literally coming for the spot of the big three. It's kind of insane if you think about it. So I'm kind of curious to see how you guys will react to these changes, how you guys will react to these videos. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get some hate on this. I mean, what the hell can we do about it, right? But let me know what you think about it. That's pretty much the end of the discussion. I don't want to blow this too much. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Obviously, again, this was my first Yu-Gi-Oh discussion. So sorry if I mentioned anything correct. I'll hopefully be able to fix it up and clean it up, post edit. But I'll also add script pictures and everything to make it a little clearer if I need to. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the discussion and Yu-Gi-Oh in general, the future of Yu-Gi-Oh, all that, anything to do with Yu-Gi-Oh collecting. Let me know what you think about it. Hopefully I'll see you next time.